We're gonna try to segue those things into that regarding the school.
They knew what fraternities you were in.
Definitely wasn't an easy decision. I sat down with my dad.
Not to say I hope I make it, but to know I'll make it.
Welcome to another episode of I Am the Change podcast, brought to you by Dreams to Reality Incorporated, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I am your host, Michael Davis, alongside Mr. Jason Redmond and Sharice Lovett.
Hello.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Oh, man.
Good. I'm really, I'm doing good. I'm excited about this episode. We're coming off of our Thanksgiving weekend. So how was everybody's Thanksgiving?
It was good, man.
Good.
How was yours?
It was chill. It was real chill.
I like to eat.
Only did turkey and stuff one day. Yeah, I only felt like it one day this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, that's all good. So
yeah.
Okay.
So tell us what you got in store for us today, Miss Lovett.
So today we have my honorary cousin Carol. So she and I met through Mary Kay. And it's crazy because we clicked virtually because she joined the unit during the pandemic. So everything was virtual. So I never even met her face to face until this year. It was crazy.
Wow.
But I felt like I've known her forever. And she has become Cousin Carol. And that's how I refer to her, and everybody knows that's Cousin Carol. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself, tell a little bit about herself, and we're ready to kick this off.
Cousin Carol, is on you.
Hi, good evening. I want to first of all thank you guys for inviting me to join I Am the Change for this podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. Hope everybody's not too full Thanksgiving because we got a race to run. We're gonna be the change. So
All right.
As she said, I'm Cousin Carol. I warm up to most people anywhere I go. There are no strangers anywhere. I wear multiple hats, and it hasn't always been that way. My life pretty much started out as a cast-off, so to speak, and that's how my mindset was. I felt I was a cast-off. I was in foster care as a child, watching my family on the other side of town growing up. And so a series of life's processes and changes began to formulate for me. And once your mindset is set on what you are or aren't to people, you tend to shy off. So it's just an honor to be called a cousin, honorary cousin, to meet people and know that there is some value in you. And I think that really begins with self-value. Once you begin to see yourself as a person of value, no matter what your status is or status quo in the world as we see it today. I know there's a lot of classism, but once you begin to see yourself as okay and find your purpose for what you need to do, you then begin to encompass all that you should be. So with the many hats, I'm Cousin Carol. I am ordained clergy, Reverend Elder Carol Johnson Ford. I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in counseling with a concentration in human services, graduated cum laude and summa cum, and I am a doctoral student for Newburgh Theological Seminary. Also the CNO and founder of Affirming Grace Ministry.
Okay.
But my claim to fame is I am a nana of 12.
A lot of love right there. That's a lot of love.
I'm a nana of 12.
Busy. That is busy.
I'll tell you what.
Did I get you?
You did. You got me in them 12. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you talk about just what made you and what not necessarily defined you, but what shaped you. So with foster care and going through, so I don't remember how long you were in the foster system, but going through that entire process and saying, I'm not going to let this beat me down, and and just staying positive for the most part through that. How was that for you?
So I guess sometimes when I put on my church hat, I'll paint something too rosy. make no mistake, the road was never really easy. Young situations that we define, there are systems in place now that would help teenagers who are in bad living situations. But as I said, I use the word cast off now. So being in the foster care system, it's a true story. In my hometown, I showed up on the court steps one Monday morning, refusing to go home. And they found enough it warranted in my case that they allowed me into the attention home, so to speak. And so I stayed in foster care, I would say from the age of 14 until I aged out at 18, changing multiple high schools. I was that very intelligent, but the teachers would say I was intelligent, but I couldn't believe it because at home it was a wreck for me. Right. So when I say shaped, I've learned that you can't get the sunshine and flowers if you don't take the rain.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Right.
sunshine, you can't get the sunshine with the beautiful flowers without the rain. So tell me what was the turning moment that made you go to the courthouse to say, hey, look, I ain't going home. Like, what was that moment? What was that moment in your life like?
I don't know how, but somehow teachers and borrowed books had me like a literary person at 12, 13. And I would read what life, family should be about. And mine just wasn't that. It was not that. There was a situation within the household. And, especially in the African-American community, you're told what happens in here stays in here. You don't tell them anything. Right. So when I struck out and went down to that courthouse, I knew I was putting a nail in the coffin, but I did not feel safe any longer.
I understand that. So how's your relationship with your family to this day?
It is still strained. I feel it is challenging for them to have watched my many life cycles. Not to say I was the vindicated teen. I went out and made some mistakes. I got married to an abuser, got a plate in my face. I have a plate around my eye socket. From another, I ran from one abusive situation to another, ended up with my eye socket broken, fell into drugs, alcohol, went to jail. So I don't want to paint it like it's just me, I'm the rosy one, but I made some choices always running that definitely set off the trajectory of my life.
I got you.
Okay. Well, see, for me, like, because I was in foster care as well at an early age, and I aged out also. But see, like you saying you took it upon yourself to go into foster care, like most kids wouldn't do that. They would just stay in the situation and just deal with whatever they were going through before they went to the system. So did you feel like you already had a calling on your life to do something greater? Is that what put you out of the situation, or would you just had enough?
I think my head being in those books, learning to read, my parents had friends who were school teachers. And although it was never told what was going on behind the closed doors, I would look at these people and dream for a different lifestyle. It was challenging for all. As I matured, I can now look from another person's point of view. Why did you? Why didn't you? But I think for me, is not to cast blame any further, because I did become of age and made some deadly choices after that. Right. I think it surprised the judge. Now, when I showed up, here's a kid who hadn't been in serious trouble other than fighting in school. And my fights were like, for real, I was fighting my way out. But I came back to meet that same judge a couple of years ago as a court advocate for a diversionary program. And everybody in the courtroom, he heard my voice and was like, is that you? And everybody stood still. It was like hilarious. That was like, yeah, he's like, oh my goodness. And he started talking to the bailiffs and everybody. It was cool to know that I had come full circle.
Right. That's beautiful. So you said you got on drugs, alcohol. What was it so at that moment, what made you stop with the drugs and alcohol? How did you break yourself from that?
Break that, right.
So the reality is I tried to tell myself back in the 80s that I was going to do whatever I had to do to not have my children be subjected to some of the things I went through. Mm-hmm. And so I took the negative, unfortunately chose what was the thing, the fad for the moment at that time, and tried to call myself hustling. And I ended up addicted. I was already from a family of alcoholics. I think the turning point, I had 5 years clean. I was still always able to go get a job. I would have some of the nicest jobs. I was actually working for a local city government job in a job training partnership, a grant office, as an eligibility reviewer. And it just still was never enough. And so when the time came, I went through a bad divorce. In the whole time with the drugs, it was like 5 years. I went to jail for a year. I actually got my face broken within that time, managed to get a couple years clean, got in another dysfunctional relationship, went off to the races again. I was always getting that white chip, couldn't get clean. And then one day I had moved to another state, relapsed, moved to another state. And of course, the addict in me found the drugs and alcohol. God, in his graciousness, surrendered my kids to my ex-husband who used to beat me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that crushed my soul.
Right.
For him, it was, I'm gonna get me a paycheck, which he ended up getting some serious child support. But for me, the one thing that I had to fight for when I couldn't fight for myself, that was like the end of the rope. So I ended up in a treatment center. And there were some people that were destined to meet me on the journey. And I'm from down the South. I hadn't seen articulate, educated African Americans except for in the books I had read. And this doctor said, I'm gonna back you up from your plate. And I went to treatment for 30 days, and that was about 30 years ago, and never turned back.
Praise God. Beautiful, beautiful. I love stories, and I love a feel-good story anyway. And so when it is, and so you did the books, and I think it sounds like that's what kept you, like, giving you that piece of hope. My thing is like an actual person. So I could say, I know someone who's been through, like, to me, books, there's words on a page, but when I could say, yeah, I know somebody, and I think even in the work we do, because we've talked about that, when you're trying to do community service and doing work, and you're trying to reach the people that other people don't want to reach or talk to, and they're like, well, why do you want to help me? And that's when you can say, well, I've been in your shoes. I know what you're going through. So, I love it. Hey, I'm here for it all.
Exactly. I went back to do an undergrad internship in the same homeless shelter that I had been, I lived in. And so I just truly believe that in that time and season when I needed to get clean and sober, God saw fit for the transfer of my children's custody to come back home to Virginia, where I knew they'd be covered, not by who I wanted, but by somebody that would cover them. It wouldn't end the journey there, though. I would walk into an interview for a Global 500 company and become the assistant to a deputy treasurer. And we talking about now, I'm a felon. I'm away from Virginia, and I'm pinching myself saying, is this true? Can I do this? Can I do this? Mm-hmm. And I think not wanting to let anybody write my story but me, still having that drive, allowed me to keep pushing. And so people, like you say, Sharice, came along my path who I know were set there just to help me along my journey. Right. I ended up as a felon, and I still hid another 25 years because I'm like, oh, is this true? They're always going to get me. That's always going to be a marker. But I have a full pardon today. So everything was wiped away. Wow. But it took me believing in me, because oftentimes we have a dynamic that while we may change in life, others around us and family cycles and dynamics do not change. And so I think God allowed me a space in going to school for psychology. I have an associate's in business first, so I could always take care of myself. But the bachelor's in psych just opened my eyes. And I remember sitting in a master class on how to vocational training. And I'm crying. Everybody else is straight faced and they got the, the good face. You know how we do.
Right.
They had the good face on. And I'm crying. I'm blippering like an idiot. And I'm like, why come I'm supposed to be all this? I'm the preacher now. I'm this. Why am I crying? And they all good. She said, because they have not unpeeled their onions yet. She said, you're going to make an awesome counselor because you can go real. And it's not bothering you to tell your real journey. And I think if I just tell people the truth, that it's not always pretty, but change can happen. Just keep walking. Don't let anybody else write that story for you. You can make it.
Right.
So
I'm long-winded.
No. Hey, tell your story. Like,
perfectly fine.
Yeah. I'm taking it in because I'm sitting and listening. Like, so you said you're a felon. You got a job as a deputy. What?
So I served the deputy treasurer of a global company for Xerox.
Yeah.
And I worked there for 9 years. I was a high school graduate only. I had been to jail. And what happened, I went in through a temp agency. I got a job at a bank before Magic Johnson bought the banks out in Connecticut. And I got laid off the day I got called into ministry. It was so crazy. And I was like, are you serious? What am I do now? So I was so vain, I wouldn't cut my nails off. Every little spread of dignity that made me feel good about me coming through my life. Things like nails, like I needed to be glamorous. So I thought. But the attraction of people was like, you always had a good heart. Like you're not trying to hurt anybody. You just trying to survive.
Right.
And so I pop the nails off. I go down, I take the little test. They call me in for this deputy treasurer job. And nobody comes out of their office. Nobody. So I send a mass email. I get my list. I look at the org chart. And it's about 9 people. And I say, hi, I'm your new administrative assistant. John, I am direct report of John, who is your manager. Please come and see me and let me know what you need. Everybody's head started popping out of offices. I spent the next 9 years there.
Wow. Because that doesn't, so just my little bit of knowledge is like, if a felon, like a deputy, that's not supposed to happen in that position. Like that is all, that's all favor right there. Because that's not supposed to happen. Like that job,
Absolutely.
You weren't supposed to have that job. They're just what society says. If you have a felon, like you're supposed to be like, oh no, we're going with somebody else.
Right.
That's huge.
Right. Well, people kept asking. I had to go to temp agencies, and people kept asking, "What happened? How did this happen?" And I just told them I started believing in myself. So I didn't walk in as the felon. I didn't walk in as the ex-addict, the recovering addict. I walked in with my head held high saying, I'm doing the best I can today.
Right.
And that's all I can take on for today. And I did that for the next 30 some years. I was like the teacher's pet, front of the class, getting the top grades, but I was paying for my degrees by then.
Yeah. That was my next question. Because if you were a felon, you weren't supposed to be able to get financial aid.
So I ended up getting financial aid in the total amount of $1,500 for my business degree. I ended up having to stay there 2 more years to pay that off because they said it was directly related. They gave me $1,500. It was directly related to me working in the Treasury group.
Now look,
go ahead.
But did you hear the excitement of the $1,500 though? Because I'm sitting here looking like, that's what my books cost. And I'm like,
I'm right
15,000 a semester. She was like 1,500 total.
Yes.
Excited.
But the excitement is because the fact that if you're a felon, this part I do know. If you're a felon, you can't get federal student aid.
Right.
Right. Exactly. But we see, how do you keep that mindset? Like you were in foster care, you were a felon, you know what I'm saying, a recovering addict. How do you keep that type of mindset to keep pushing through like all those obstacles in your way and make it to where you are now? You know what I'm saying? Because so many people come through the system, go through those type of trials and tribulations and don't make it out the other side like you.
Yeah. I got to hear this answer. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I need to know the secret.
I'm thinking the same thing.
I literally, and I thought God had jokes for me to become a counselor. I'm like, I'm the most damaged, wrecked person but it's your mindset.
Right.
What do you see yourself as? It has yet to be seen what is to come. Right now, I want to train clergy how to identify modes of depression, deal with social economic disparities in our communities. You know, we can't keep pouring holy oil and praising people and laying hands on them without setting up systems that's going to help feed and clothe the way Jesus did. I ain't going to turn it into a sermon, but so there's some real practical things to feeding people. And I believe that's feeding their spirits. And for me, I had to believe without having that nucleus, without having that family. I didn't have cousin Sharice did. I had to tell myself I was okay in the midst of change.
You did a good job telling yourself you was okay, because man, the things
Listen,
you weren't look, just off what I know, the things that God blessed you with, you were not supposed to have. You were not supposed to have that job. You were not supposed to have a degree. You talking about you were in an abusive relationship, one abusive relationship to the next one. Yo, if you might not supposed to be here. Like
be here, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Man, you are
highly
a walking
favored
blessing. Like you are a living testimony within itself, because the things you've come through, like, oh my gosh. I'll be honest.
That's where Affirming Grace came from.
And I was about to ask you, where did it build from? Where did that idea come from?
I came from, sometimes some of our systems in the church are set up to emulate some of the world systems. And there are systems that say women shouldn't preach. I hadn't heard women preachers. I hadn't seen strong African Americans. I hadn't seen strong women. I hadn't seen people take charge of their life. They've been kind of domiciled down here in Virginia. And so now I'm in the city. I'm living in Connecticut, and the world is going really fast. And I come from a meeting that tells me, well, you know, you work during the day. You're not a full-time vocational preacher. Why you here? And I knew God had not brought me that far just to leave me. I literally went home and cried, got up off of my floor. I didn't know anything about Facebook. I wasn't this big tech guru, but he gave me the schematics to set up Affirming Grace. And that was 2009. It was 2009 or 10. And I set up a Twitter feed. I set up a Facebook page and an email address for Affirming Grace. Within 6 months, it was in 21 countries, 13 languages. I would just give people not just scriptures, beating them in the head every day, but the same daily affirmations I had to give myself. I was writing those and posting them out every day. So it is a lot about the mindset. And favor ain't fair, and I'm not even gonna pop.
You're right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Boy, you got some favor, buddy. Golly. Woo. So you're in 19 different countries? Yo, we gotta get information, because I gotta get this. I gotta get this affirming word every day, because this is amazing.
Right.
I need that word.
So I don't even attend to it every day. You have to know your intellectual properties. People were like stealing devotions and quotes and scriptures. And so I have like the manuscript of a devotion book. Okay. I have the story, but out of respect for some of the family members, there are some things left that you need to leave unsaid for seasons.
I get it.
So where I tiptoe, I've worked them out. But it's not that I should harm another in my freedom. And so I'm ginger about what I say and how I say it to protect some others along the journey.
I understand that.
Yeah. So yeah, God just, who would have thought somebody wanted to hear, you know, if you look good on the inside, you always look good on the out, you know? Things like that. That's one of my devotions, my quotes, and things like that I just began to do for myself every day. Because mind you, I'm in a whole different world. I come from now I'm in boardrooms. I'm going to the what's his name? They played basketball. Our Xerox used to pay for
Magic Johnson.
No, not Magic. tall, skinny guy. I don't even remember his name.
A lot
But,
of them.
you know, this is the first time I could put on a ball dress, and I'm going to these balls, and I'm seeing Aretha Franklin in person on stage at the Paramount, different things like that. So I'm like an imposter in their world, and I'm having to give myself daily affirmations to say I belong.
No, you belong, because you come to, you definitely, hey, you are definitely split apart from the common person, because the things you got, God had a plan for you, because those things in just normal situations, you weren't supposed to get those situations. You weren't supposed to be here, period. But hey, I mean, I'm glad he saved you and gave you affirming grace, because I needed to hear this story. This is amazing. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, but that is major though, because like when you go from like sort of like a low place, and then you up here, it's like you standing with giants. So you got to be able to have that mindset to even like you said, feel like you belong. Like that's major. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I think for traditionally, people believe once I make it, it is not my job to assist another. But I believe in my whole heart that everything that was purpose, every grace that was afforded, every mercy along my journey, I'm here to give that back. My ministry caters to the least of these. I truly believe that I do more service giving away sandwiches and soup and toiletries, getting up. I've had times when I would get up, and I know at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, the attic is out of steam. They out of money. And I'm there, I'm not there to preach, but I'm gonna give you a bottle of water. I'm gonna give you a toothbrush. I'm gonna give you a sandwich or some nabs or something so that you can go lay it down. I believe that I'm called to that ministry specifically because his grace brought me through it. You know, I didn't grow up a teenager on drugs. I had other troubles and stuff, but it, like I said, it was literally a 5-year stint. So while I literally, true story, I got put out of a meeting because I wouldn't say I was an addict. I said I was blessed with another day of recovery. Got put out the meeting. So that's significant, because look, I'm still trying to fit in, y'all. I'm still trying to fit in. So once you get to the place where you don't have to fit in, you can do everything that's destined for you to do.
Goodness, man. I'll be honest, Sharif, when you said you had a guest on, I didn't think she was gonna bring this kind of
I know like this.
Yeah.
Jason, you're not the only one with some hitters now.
Man, hey, look. I'm humbled, man. Like,
tell him, Maurice.
She and I were talking, and we were talking about her going out and taking some stuff out to some people in the community. And I said, you know what? I need you to come on a podcast. She was like, me? I said, no, you don't you have a story that needs to be heard.
Yes, she does.
And so
absolutely.
She's like, and of course, all this time she's like, but I'm so nervous. It's a conversation. Just be you.
Just sitting in the living room talking to you. Yeah.
Right.
Man. So affirming grace, like what's next? Like everybody has a 5-year plan. Like what's up next for you?
So you're gonna hear it here first. Only a few people know.
Okay.
As I do this journey, I am that person. I ended up having to come back to Virginia kicking and screaming. And I'm like, nope, I don't want to go. But I know enough that my path is not ordered by me or directed by me. I know that. I can see that. Like you said, unmerited favor in places that it shouldn't have been. Me working full-time, graduating the top of my class, able to go back and serve in places that I had come through myself. And my call, I know what God told me that I would do. And I was doing an exercise in grad school. And again, I come up crying because like the spirit is hitting me. Everybody else is in class professional and I'm losing it, because she asked, what is it that you're going to do? And can you describe your best day and what was happening? And I knew I would be doing books. So my books have to be published. I was traveling to a summer home. I had a personal assistant there, and she's handing me $1 million royalty check. And I'm like crying. My professor, she was from the island. She's a doctorate. She's just like, girl, you don't know. You getting ready to do this, aren't you? And I started crying even harder. So having said that, as I stayed directed on the mission, I know that the books will come out. And I it's a joke right now with my husband. Somebody said, well, when you gonna go and start your church? When you gonna make, you got all of these followers, it's like 700-800 on Facebook, 3,000 on Twitter, something like that. And they was like, when you gonna bring Affirming Grace to us? And I said, when God ready. Huh?
It's like 4,000 on Twitter, I think. I checked it out.
Oh, okay. See, I don't even be watching it. I don't have the big head. I don't be watching it, yo. I just know I'm supposed to do something to help people.
Thanks.
So I said, when God want me to do it, y'all, he gonna get me ready. Well, last month,
What was dropped off, girl? What was dropped off?
Is he back?
No, I said, what was dropped off at your house?
Okay, you already know. So I got a whole drum set, the microphone set, speakers, a music, you name it. It came through the door. I was like, oh Lord. So I mean, I preach in Walmart. I really do. I preach on the corner in Walmart. Young lady hit our car. She was an addict. So we had two fairly new cars, blessed. Any car worked, but she hit the 2020 Ford Fusion, spoiler, alloy rims, the whole nine in front of the house. And she had drugs on her, paraphernalia and everything. And all I could think of what to say was, God had you hit this car of all people's cars. Now the bank paid it off. I had Gap and everything. I said, when you get yourself together, you need to knock on this door. Knock on this door when you're ready, and only when you're ready. So it's come full circle. I can only give it back to keep receiving it.
Wow. Well, man.
Sorry, I'm supposed to come on, bring it, y'all.
Hey. I got warmed up. Hey, I see. Hey, man. Like how I'm speechless, man. Like this is being, again, I can't. I'm sitting here saying to myself, there's no way. You can't, like, how do you?
So some of the things.
And Jason doesn't get speechless often.
Yeah, let me give him some of the tools.
Not at all.
No.
I walked around for 10 years with a packet. I had my resume, reference letters. I already had my criminal report in a condensed, not the hard heavy of the police report, but I had it all in a packet. And when I was applying for jobs, I would email the whole packet out. The whole packet.
Right.
Now I only send a resume. And see, now I'm better for the game because, like I said, God's favor, they look for me and say, hey, didn't you want a pardon? And I was like, I applied for that years ago. I had my rights restored. I could still operate. They contacted me and said, do you want a pardon? A full? I'm like, yeah, I want it. And so the investigators did some work. They the pandemic started. They gave me a call about 6 months in and said, hey, everything's a little slow, but we're still working on it. I got the phone call that said, your paperwork is sitting on the governor's desk. Mind you, when I got the pardon, they already asked me back to the Commonwealth of Virginia, even the whole office. They said they hadn't seen people work that hard. I just thought it was getting up one more time than you fall.
So wait, you gonna go into politics?
Well, so I doubt it because my mouth too big for that. I can't behave myself. The unjust things that I see now, I believe that I'm a stronger candidate for helping educate, even if it's one person at a time, by grabbing somebody by their bootstraps when they can't get it, they can't tie their own shoes. Help, because those are the foot soldiers that we want to take the next leg. They're not tainted by trying to be necessarily political in front of people. they know that grace has brought them, and they know they have nothing to lose. So when someone like myself comes out, and we mean it. We come flat-footed.
Hey, I hear you. I hear you. Oh man, I'm Jesus. I'm excited to see. Matter of fact, as soon as so Michael, we get off this, man. Let me just send me the link, man. I can go ahead and friend it on Facebook and Twitter. Man, I'm following it. I'm following Anointed. I'm following.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Man, I'm about to be a friend. You got it. Goodness gracious.
You gonna say you knew me when? You gonna say you knew me when?
Hey, I can't say I knew you back in the day. I can say, hey man, I heard the story and I am thoroughly impressed. Like this, to me, like to be able to keep a positive mindset through all the adversity that you've gone through. Like to me, that in itself is a testament, because when it's raining and it's cold and you don't want to go out there and do it, you went out and did it and grinded. Not only did you get exonerated from your felony, you got multiple degrees, started multiple businesses, and you never let your situation taint you in a negative fashion. Like, you know, it doesn't seem like you have malice in your heart to anybody that did you wrong back in the day or nothing. Like, you just seem like, hey, you know, God used them to get me to where I am right now. And I'm like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful story.
Yeah, that is. That's amazing.
Again, it's mindset. Either you can take that energy and use it in a negative fashion, or you can actually learn. Somebody showed me this thing. You got reality on one side, you got your perception on another.
Right.
And when you combine the two, they're gonna meet at wisdom. Yeah. And so you begin to make steps that are clearer, more precise, not always on a straight line. You understand the gray area of life a little more. I have not yet arrived. Like I'm just getting steam.
Yeah. You're like a locomotive, you're getting going.
You're right.
You're in that drive phase.
Yeah.
See, the good part about what you're doing is you are actually living the words that people say. Like, people always say, like, don't let that negativity turn you sour. Like, but you're living that statement. And I think, to me, that is the beautiful part. When Sharice said, I got somebody's got a story, I'm like, all right, man, bring him on. Let's get it going. Let's let him hear it. Let's let him hear it. But the story, like, you can't like this positivity through a negative situation is amazing, because you've been so positive. You don't have any malice in your heart, and you're trying to help. You're trying to go back and help the same people that are coming through the situations where you laid your head.
That she's been through, right?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so big, so big.
Major.
Oh my gosh. So
you talked about a couple books. You talked about writing some books. Like, have you written books, or are you working on books?
So I am. So the same with the church dynamic. People will boost you up, gas your head up. I've been told that I'm a stomp down preacher. Going out there and start your church, do whatever. But I do believe that the timing. I didn't get that job with that deputy treasurer until the time came. Right. I didn't get that full pardon until the time came. And so I think some of us are so in a rush for claim to fame. And because this is not my claim nor my fame, this all glory goes to my Lord and Savior. I can take my time. His grace is sufficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, but as soon as you put that first book out, just go ahead and autograph one of them copies, and you can send it to me, man.
Three of them things.
Three. I ain't want to speak to y'all.
JG get me selfish, man.
Jason took care of self. He said, forget everybody else.
Which is one.
I didn't know if y'all wanted one. I didn't want to. Yeah, my bad.
Absolutely.
It's my cousin. I was getting one anyway. How about that?
You probably won't get the first book.
Yeah. I just knew Sharice was getting one. So, Michael, my bad, man. 3 copies for us, please. We'd appreciate it.
Y'all got it.
Yeah. 3.
Yeah.
You got it.
Oh, my goodness.
So I hope one of those books are going to be just about the story of your life. Because, I mean, that's a testimony. That's hope. That's, I mean, for the world to just read and, you know.
Well, so like I said, the challenge to that is respecting those while they're still living. I lost 3 siblings in the last year and a half out of 5. And it has been traumatic, but it has given me time to really stop trying to save the world and work on me, to keep making sure I'm in a healthy place. I know that I've been told that when I go to defend my dissertation for the PhD, that I need to integrate my story into it, because it does hit the life cycles, all of the things that I want to train other counselors and clergy and lay people how to identify. Because oftentimes we think it's just depression, or it's just something for the church. And I think that we're more complex human beings than that. The whole human nature covers more than the either or. And I'm a witness that it can cover multiple facets and multiple levels. And so that's what, I remember getting laughed at by other preachers when I first defended it at the master's level. They was like, "Are you serious?" And I passed on the first rung. Like I said, I graduated sum cum. And I wasn't praying, because it's nothing that I made up. It's what God has allowed me to see firsthand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Man, it's just
So,
I'm gonna steal Michael's line, because I gotta get it before somebody else does. So tell
that
me,
ain't been my line in a while.
no,
So
it hasn't.
that's
It
yours.
hasn't. It hasn't. I take it. So tell me, what for our viewers, give us a little inspirational nugget that they can hang their hat on to get them through the week after hearing your testimony and your story. Something to kind of give them a little boost over the edge.
Scoot up. I gotta hear this. I gotta make sure I hear this.
Yeah, I'm ready, man, too.
Really, when I think about it, only you can stop. If you want to change, just believe it. No matter what doors close, what people say, you have to believe that you have purpose.
Right.
Yeah. Without that purpose, you'll wander aimlessly. So get up each day on purpose, for a purpose, and with purpose.
With a purpose, yep.
So, like, your story makes me think about the prodigal son, the prodigal son story in the Bible. Like, he had it all, he wanted it, he wanted what was his, and he squandered it, and he came back to be restored. Like, to me, that's what I hear when I hear your story.
Well, I think I'm on prodigal now. At one time, I was Joseph. There was a lot of pits. Sold into slavery, there was a lot of pits. But I think that there have been times where I've made some calls that have steered me a little off the path. But I don't look at it like, there was a book recently of some people that came out about broken crown, still color. And it was significant. I don't read a lot of people's books. I got a whole library. I love to read. I have a library, but I don't really read until my manuscript is finished. Therefore, it's only me. I don't want to be gleaned from anybody else. So I think when I think of it like that, Joseph, am I Joseph in the pit? Am I the prodigal son coming back? Nah, I'm Carol, and I'm here.
Nice. Cousin Carol. Cousin Carol.
Cousin Carol.
Cousin Carol.
Absolutely.
Cousin Carol.
Cousin Carol. Hey, look, Cousin Carol, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for blessing us.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Amazing.
Yeah. We're gonna have you back on again, because I want to hear as the story progresses, as the church opens. Hallelujah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
I want to come play the drums.
All right. As long as, yes. You know what? Look at God. I was sitting there saying this morning, who gonna play drums for me?
Yeah, I don't play drums. I
No.
can beat on them. I can beat on them though. I don't play them.
The words say make a joyful noise.
Hey,
so if you're
it'll be
singing for
joyful.
him.
It'll be joyful now. Yeah. I get a good little beat going. Yeah.
All right. Listen, it was truly a pleasure. I thank you guys again for inviting me. And eyes have not yet seen. Just, tell people to show Affirming Grace some love. I'm on Facebook, Twitter. I don't do a lot of TikToking and the gram because, as you can see, I'm busy. I'm busy doing the back work for what I need to do. So
Yes.
Yes.
We appreciate you being on.
thank you.
Yeah. So without further ado, Michael, I'm gonna let you take us out of here, man, because man, I'm full. I'm gonna let you. It's on you, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, I got you. Well, if this is your first time tuning in, please like, subscribe, and continue to follow us on this journey. If you've been rocking with us so far, keep on keeping on because we have a lot more amazing episodes to come. We are DTR Incorporated, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I'd like to thank my wonderful co-hosts, Mr. Jason Redmond and Sharice Lovett.
Thank you.
Right.
And our amazing guest, Ms. Carol Johnson Ford. We appreciate you coming on the show, blessing us with your presence. It was amazing. So glad we got you on here this week.
Thank you.
All right. We're DTR. I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. And remember, our goal is not to be better than anybody, but together we can achieve better for everybody. Peace and have a good night.
All right. Good night.
We're gonna try to segue all those things into that regarding
in
the
school. You know, they knew what fraternities you were in.
Definitely wasn't an easy decision. You know, I sat down with my dad